Daniel's heart felt full. It was still just a beginning. Building trust would take more time, more honesty, more shared moments. But for the first time, he felt truly hopeful. He was not hiding anymore. He was Daniel Okoro, trying to be a better man, trying to fix what was broken in his company and maybe, just maybe, in his own guarded heart. Daniel felt truly hopeful. He had a small chance to build something real with Sophia. But as they smiled at each other, Daniel's phone buzzed. It was a message from his father's lawyer with urgent news about Okoro Holdings. News involving a potential hostile takeover attempt, led by someone who knew Daniel's secrets from his past. Could Daniel protect his family's company and build trust with Sophia at the same time? Or would his two worlds finally collide and destroy everything? The smile froze on Daniel's face as he read the message again. His hand tightened around the phone, knuckles turning white. "Is everything okay?" Sophia asked, noticing the sudden change in his expression. Daniel looked up, trying to compose himself. "Just work stuff, nothing important." But it was important, terribly important. The message from Mr. Adamola, his father's lawyer for over 20 years, was clear. "Emergency meeting tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Zenith Manufacturing making moves for hostile takeover. Someone with insider knowledge involved. Your father needs you." "You sure?" Sophia pressed gently. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Daniel forced a smile, slipping the phone back into his pocket. "I'm fine." "Really?" He reached for her hand, trying to recapture the moment they'd been sharing. "This is what matters right now." But even as he said it, his mind was racing. Someone with insider knowledge. There was only one person who knew enough about Okoro Holdings' vulnerabilities, about Daniel's past mistakes, to be truly dangerous. But it couldn't be him, not after all this time. "I should probably get going," Sophia said, checking her watch. "Early shift tomorrow." Daniel nodded, grateful for the excuse to end the evening before his distraction became too obvious. "I'll walk you to your car." As they walked across the parking lot, Daniel struggled to stay present. The weight of his family's company, of all the employees who depended on Okoro Holdings for their livelihoods, pressed down on him, including Sophia, especially Sophia. "Will I see you tomorrow?" she asked as they reached her car. I have some meetings in the morning," Daniel said, the half-truth bitter on his tongue. Already he was keeping things from her. "But I'll try to come by the factory in the afternoon." Sophia studied his face for a moment, as if sensing there was more he wasn't saying, but she simply nodded. "Good night, Daniel." "Good night, Sophia." He watched her drive away, the warmth of their evening together fading rapidly in the cool night air. As soon as her taillights disappeared around the corner, Daniel pulled out his phone and dialed. "Mr. Adamola? It's Daniel. Tell me everything." The next morning, Daniel sat in his father's opulent office, surrounded by the trappings of the Okoro family wealth. Gabriel Okoro stood by the window, his imposing figure silhouetted against the Lagos skyline. Mr. Adamola sat across from Daniel, legal documents spread across the mahogany table between them. "Zenith has been quietly buying up shares through shell companies," Adamola explained, his voice grave. "They now control nearly 20%. If they reach 30, they can force a board vote." "How did we not see this coming?" Daniel asked, flipping through the financial reports. "They were careful," his father said, turning from the window. "Very careful. And they had help." Daniel looked up. "What kind of help?" Gabriel and Adamola exchanged glances. "Someone provided them with detailed information about our financial structure, our vulnerabilities, our plans for expansion in the north." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. "Who?" "We don't know for certain," Adamola said carefully. "But the information they have, it's specific. Things only someone in the inner circle would know." "Or someone who used to be," Gabriel added, his eyes fixed on his son. Daniel met his father's gaze. "You think it's Tunde?" It wasn't a question. Tunde Oladipo had been Daniel's closest friend since childhood, his roommate at university, and briefly, his business partner in a venture that had ended disastrously 3 years ago. A venture that had nearly cost Okoro Holdings millions and had permanently damaged Tunde's reputation in Lagos business circles. "He has motive," Adamola said, and knowledge. And a grudge, Gabriel added, against both of us. Daniel shook his head. Tony wouldn't do this. Yes, he was angry, but it's been 3 years. Some wounds don't heal, Gabriel said. Some people don't forgive. Before Daniel could respond, the office door opened. His father's assistant entered, followed by a striking woman in a perfectly tailored suit. Daniel recognized her immediately. Helena Okafor, the new CEO of Zenith Manufacturing. Ms. Okafor, Gabriel said, his voice cold. This is a private meeting. Helena smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. Mr. Okoro, I thought it was time we spoke directly. Your lawyer has been dodging my calls. With good reason, Ademola said, standing. Your company's actions border on illegal. Helena's smile widened. Buying shares in a publicly traded company is perfectly legal, Mr. Ademola, as is using information provided by willing sources. Her eyes shifted to Daniel, assessing him. Mr. Okoro the Younger, I've heard so much about you. Your creative approach to business. Your time playing security guard at your father's factory was particularly inspired. Daniel felt his stomach drop. She knew. How did she know? What do you want, Miss Okafor? Gabriel demanded. What any good business person wants, Helena replied smoothly. Value for my shareholders. Zenith believes Okoro Holdings would be more valuable under different management. My family built this company from nothing, Gabriel said, anger edging into his voice. We've provided jobs for thousands of Nigerians for over 30 years. And now you'll provide value for Zenith's shareholders, Helena said. Unless, of course, you're willing to discuss a more amicable arrangement. Which would be, Ademola asked. Helena's eyes never left Gabriel's face. A merger, Zenith and Okoro. Combined resources, shared management. We could be a powerhouse in West African manufacturing. Never, Gabriel said flatly. Helena shrugged elegantly. Then we continue as we are. Buying shares, talking to your investors, sharing interesting stories about the Okoro family with the business press. Her gaze slid to Daniel again. There are so many interesting stories. After she left, the office was silent for a long moment. She's bluffing, Daniel said finally. She doesn't have enough shares to force anything yet. But she's getting closer, Ademola warned, and she clearly has information she shouldn't have. Gabriel turned to his son. Daniel, I need you fully committed to this fight. No more games, no more playing security guard. The company needs you. I need you. Focused and present. Daniel nodded slowly. I understand. But as he left his father's office, all he could think about was Sophia. How could he explain any of this to her? Their trust was so new, so fragile, and now he had to keep secrets again. Not about his identity this time, but about threats that could affect her job, her future. His phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. Missing my favorite security guard today. Factory's not the same without you. Daniel stared at the message, his heart heavy. He had promised her honesty, but how much honesty could their new relationship bear? Later that day, Daniel managed to slip away from crisis meetings to visit the factory. He found Sophia on the production floor, clipboard in hand, checking inventory. Hey, he said, approaching her with a smile that took effort to maintain. Sophia looked up, her face brightening. Hey, yourself. I was beginning to think those important meetings would keep you away all day. I wanted to see you, Daniel said, and that much was true. Everything okay? Sophia asked, studying his face. You seem tense. Daniel hesitated. Just some business challenges, nothing we can't handle. Anything I can help with? She offered. The question caught him off guard. It was so genuine, so Sophia. For a moment, he was tempted to tell her everything. About Zenith, about Helena's threats, about his suspicions regarding Tundi. But the words stuck in his throat. Just being here helps, he said instead, taking her hand. Sophia smiled, but there was a hint of uncertainty in her eyes. She could sense he was holding back. Daniel, she began, when we talked about starting over, about building something real, I thought we agreed on honesty. We did, Daniel said quickly, and I meant it. Then why do I feel like you're not telling me something important? Before Daniel could respond, his phone rang. His father's name flashed on the screen. I have to take this, he said apologetically. Stepping away, he answered, Father, Where are you? Gabriel demanded. At the factory. I needed to get back to the office. Now Helena Okafor just made another move. Daniel ended the call, turning back to Sophia with regret written across his face. I have to go. More important meetings? Sophia asked, unable to keep the disappointment from her voice. I'm sorry, Daniel said. I'll explain everything soon. I promise. As he hurried away, Sophia watched him go, the distance between them suddenly feeling much greater than the physical space. The next day, Sophia was surprised to receive a call from an unknown number during her lunch break. Ms. Benson, this is Helena Okafor from Zenith Manufacturing. Sophia nearly choked on her water. Miss Okafor, how did you get my number? I make it my business to know talented people in the industry, Helena replied smoothly. Your handling of the production line crisis last month was impressive. Not many line workers could have fixed that control board. Thank you, Sophia said cautiously, but I'm not looking for a new position. Are you sure? Helena asked. Zenith values problem solvers. We're prepared to offer you a management position, double your current salary, plus benefits. Sophia's mind raced. How did Helena know about the control board incident? And why would Zenith offer a management position to someone they'd never even interviewed? I appreciate the offer, Sophia said carefully, but I'm happy where I am. With Okoro Industries? Or with Daniel Okoro? The question landed like a slap. Excuse me? Oh, come now, Ms. Benson. Lagos business circles are small. Word gets around about the factory worker who caught the eye of the heir to Okoro Holdings. Sophia felt her cheeks burn. My personal life is not relevant to any professional discussion. Isn't it? Helena countered. When your relationship could be affected by upcoming changes at Okoro Industries. What changes? Daniel hasn't told you? Helena's voice dripped with false concern. How interesting. Well, I wouldn't want to overstep. Perhaps you should ask him yourself. My offer remains open, Ms. Benson. Think about it. The call ended, leaving Sophia staring at her phone, confusion and unease settling in her stomach. That evening, Daniel was working late in his office when his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The past always catches up, Danny boy. Ask your father about Project Lighthouse. Then we'll talk about what I want. Daniel's blood ran cold. Project Lighthouse. No one called him Danny boy except Tundi, and no one else knew about Project Lighthouse, the failed venture that had nearly ruined both their careers. He was about to call the number when another text came through, this one from Sophia. We need to talk. Who is Helena Okafor and what changes is she talking about? Daniel stared at the messages, feeling his carefully constructed world beginning to crumble around him. The next morning, Daniel sat across from Sophia in a small cafe far from both the factory and the Okoro Holdings headquarters. He had chosen the location carefully, neutral ground where they wouldn't be recognized or interrupted. I'm sorry about yesterday, he began. Things have been complicated. Complicated enough that you couldn't tell me Zenith Manufacturing is making moves against your company? Sophia asked, her voice calm but her eyes searching his face. Daniel sighed. How much did Helena Okafor tell you? Not much. Just enough to make me wonder why you didn't tell me yourself. Daniel wrapped his hands around his coffee cup, gathering his thoughts. Zenith is attempting a hostile takeover of Okoro Holdings. They've been quietly buying shares and gathering information about our operations. And this affects the factory? My job? Potentially, yes, Daniel admitted. If Zenith gains control, they would likely consolidate operations, cut what they consider redundancies. Sophia nodded slowly. And Helena Okafor offered me a job because she's trying to poach talent? Because she wants information? Daniel ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Or because she knows about us and wants to use you to get to me? I don't know. Use me, Sophia repeated, her voice hardening. I'm not a pawn, Daniel. I know that, he said quickly. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? And why didn't you tell me any of this? Daniel met her gaze. Because I was trying to protect you, and because I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid that after everything we've been through, after finally starting to build trust between us, this would be too much. More secrets, more complications. Sophia was quiet for a moment, processing his words. Daniel, protecting me by keeping me in the dark isn't protection. It's control. It's making decisions for me without giving me all the information. The truth of her words hit him hard. You're right. I'm sorry. Is there anything else I should know? She asked. Daniel thought of the text from Tundi, of Project Lighthouse and the mistakes of his past. No, he said, the lie bitter on his tongue, even as he told himself it was to protect her. That's everything. Sophia studied him for a long moment, as if sensing the omission. Okay, she said finally. Thank you for being honest. The irony of her words wasn't lost on Daniel. As they left the cafe, Daniel's phone rang. It was Mr. Adamola. Daniel, we've identified the source of the leak, the lawyer said without preamble. It's confirmed. Tunde Oladipo has been meeting with Helena Okafor for months. Are you sure? Daniel asked, stepping away from Sophia. Positive. We have photos, meeting records. He's been feeding her information about Project Lighthouse, about the northern expansion plans, about everything. Daniel's mind raced. Has he contacted you? Made any demands? Not yet, but your father wants to meet. Now. Daniel ended the call and turned back to Sophia. I have to go. Company emergency. Another one? Sophia asked, unable to keep the skepticism from her voice. I'm sorry, Daniel said, genuinely regretful. I'll call you later, I promise. As he hurried away, Sophia watched him go, the distance between them growing once again. Back at Okoro Holdings, Daniel found his father pacing in his office, rage barely contained. Tunde Oladipo, Gabriel spat the name. After everything we did for him, after we covered up his mistakes in Project Lighthouse, protected his reputation. We didn't do it for him, Daniel reminded his father. We did it to protect the company, to protect me. Gabriel waved a dismissive hand. The result is the same. We kept him out of jail, and this is how he repays us. He contacted me, Daniel admitted, last night, a text about Project Lighthouse. Gabriel's eyes narrowed. What did he want? He didn't say, just that we would talk about what he wants. We don't negotiate with blackmailers, Gabriel said firmly. Even when they have information that could destroy us, Daniel challenged. Project Lighthouse wasn't just a failed business venture, Father. You know that. The unspoken truth hung heavy between them. Project Lighthouse had involved cutting corners, falsifying environmental reports, bribing officials. Daniel had been young, eager to prove himself, and Tundi had been the one with the connections to make problems disappear. When it all fell apart, the Okoro family's influence had contained the damage, but the truth had never come to light. If this gets out, Daniel continued, it's not just the company at risk, it's our freedom. We could face criminal charges. Gabriel's expression hardened. Then we make sure it doesn't get out, whatever it takes. The implications of his father's words sent a chill down Daniel's spine. Later that day, Daniel received another text from Tundi. Meet me, tonight, 8 p.m., the old place. The old place. Their university hangout, a small bar on the outskirts of Lagos where they'd celebrated victories and drowned sorrows together. Daniel hadn't been there in years. He debated telling his father about the meeting, but decided against it. Gabriel's whatever-it-takes approach worried him. This was his mess to clean up. At 8 p.m. sharp, Daniel walked into the dimly lit bar. It had changed little over the years. Same scratched wooden tables, same faded football posters on the walls. And there, in the corner booth, sat Tunde Oladipo. 3 years had changed him. The carefree smile was gone, replaced by a hardness around the eyes. But when he saw Daniel, a ghost of the old grin appeared. Danny boy, Tundi said, raising his beer in mock salute. The prodigal son returns. Daniel slid into the booth across from him. Tundi, it's been a while. 3 years, 2 months, and 14 days, Tundi replied. But who's counting? Why now? Daniel asked. Why Zenith? Tundi took a slow sip of his beer. Why not? Helena Okafor made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Money, revenge, and the chance to see the mighty Okoros fall. It's a win-win-win. We were friends, Tundi, brothers, until Project Lighthouse sank, and suddenly I was the only one drowning. Tundi's voice hardened. Your father made sure I took the blame in the business community. No one would touch me after that. 3 years of scraping by, watching you continue to rise. I tried to help you, Daniel protested. With money, Tundi scoffed, as if that could fix what your family did to my reputation. What do you want, Tundi? Why contact me now? Tundi leaned forward. Helena wants Okoro Holdings. I want justice. You have 48 hours to convince your father to step down voluntarily, to announce that he's selling his shares to Zenith. If you don't, everything about Project Lighthouse goes public. The bribes, the falsified reports, all of it. Daniel stared at him in disbelief. That's insane. My father would never agree to that. Then I guess you're both going to jail. Tundi stood, dropping some naira on the table. 48 hours, Danny boy, tick-tock. As Tundi walked away, Daniel's phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. Where are you? I thought we were having dinner tonight. Daniel closed his eyes, the weight of his two colliding worlds crushing down on him. He had completely forgotten their dinner plans. The next day, Daniel was distracted during a crisis meeting at Okoro Holdings. His father and Mr. Ademola were discussing legal strategies to block Zenith's takeover attempts. But Daniel's mind was on Sophia. She had been understandably upset when he'd missed their dinner, and his vague explanation about work emergencies was wearing thin. Daniel, are you listening? His father's sharp voice cut through his thoughts. Sorry, yes, Daniel said, refocusing on the meeting. As I was saying, Ademola continued, we believe Zenith is approaching other employees besides Miss Benson, offering jobs, asking for information. Daniel's head snapped up. What about Sophia? Ademola glanced at Gabriel before answering. We've been monitoring Miss Okafor's communications. She's met with Miss Benson twice now. Twice? Daniel repeated, shock evident in his voice. When? Yesterday afternoon and again this morning, Ademola said, at a cafe near the factory. Daniel felt as if the floor had dropped out from under him. Sophia hadn't mentioned a second meeting with Helena. What else wasn't she telling him? What did they discuss, he demanded. We don't know the detail, Ademola admitted, but Ms. Benson has not accepted any offer from Zenith, as far as we can tell. Daniel stood abruptly. I need to go. Daniel, his father called after him, we're in the middle of a crisis. Whatever personal matter this is, it can wait. No, Daniel said firmly. It can't. He found Sophia during her lunch break sitting alone in the factory courtyard. When she saw him approaching, her expression was guarded. Twice, he said without preamble. You've met with Helena Okafor twice and didn't tell me? Sophia's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed. You're having me followed? No, we're monitoring Helena's communications because of the takeover attempt. We? So the entire Okoro security team knows about my private meetings? But you didn't think to ask me directly? Daniel ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me about Project Lighthouse? Sophia countered. The question hit Daniel like a physical blow. How do you know about that? Helena told me. She said it was something from your past that could destroy Okoro Holdings. Something involving you and someone named Tundi. Daniel felt the blood drain from his face. What else did she tell you? Not much. She said I should ask you for the details. Sophia's eyes searched his face. So I'm asking, what is Project Lighthouse, Daniel? And who is Tundi? Daniel sank onto the bench beside her, the weight of his secrets suddenly too heavy to bear alone. Tundi was my best friend, my business partner. 3 years ago, we launched a project to build eco-friendly housing in the north. Project Lighthouse. What went wrong? Everything, Daniel admitted. Costs ran over. Deadlines were missed. We started cutting corners. Tundi knew people who could make problems disappear for a price. Environmental inspectors, local officials. I looked the other way. You bribed officials? Sophia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, Daniel said, the admission painful but necessary. And worse, when contaminated materials were discovered on the site, we falsified reports to cover it up. Daniel, I know, he said, unable to meet her eyes. It was wrong, all of it. When it all fell apart, my father used his influence to contain the scandal. The project was shut down quietly. The public story was simple business failure, but Tundi's reputation was ruined. Mine was protected. And now he's working with Helena to take down your family's company, Sophia concluded. Yes, He's threatening to expose everything unless my father sells to Zenith. Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I was ashamed, Daniel admitted. Because I didn't want you to see that side of me. The entitled rich kid who thought rules didn't apply to him. But that's exactly what I needed to see, Sophia said softly. All of you, not just the parts you think I'll approve of. I know that now, Daniel said. I'm sorry. Helena offered me a senior position at Zenith, Sophia said after a pause. Triple my current salary, a team of my own. Daniel's heart sank. Are you going to take it? I don't know, Sophia admitted. She said it's not contingent on providing any information about Okoro Holdings, just my skills and experience. You can't trust her, Daniel warned. She's using you to get to me, to my family. Maybe, Sophia acknowledged, or maybe she genuinely values what I can offer. Unlike Okoro Industries, where I had to pretend to be a security guard to see my worth. The barb stung, but Daniel knew he deserved it. What do you want me to do, Sophia? I want you to trust me with the truth. All of it. No more secrets, no more protecting me by keeping me in the dark. Okay, Daniel agreed. No more secrets. But even as he said it, he knew there was one more secret he was keeping. Tundi's 48-hour ultimatum, now down to 24 hours. And he had no idea how to stop the collision course his past and present were on. That evening, Daniel sat in his apartment, staring at his phone. The text to his father was drafted but unsent. We need to consider Tundi's offer. The alternative is too risky. Before he could send it, there was a knock at his door. He opened it to find Sophia standing there. I didn't know you knew where I lived, he said, surprised. Helena told me, Sophia replied. She knows a lot about you, Daniel. Daniel stepped back to let her in, unease settling in his stomach. Why are you here? Because I made a decision about Zenith's offer, Sophia said, moving into his living room and taking in the luxury apartment with a quick glance. And I wanted to tell you in person. What did you decide? Sophia turned to face him. I told Helena I needed time to think, and then I did something she didn't expect. I asked her what really happened with Project Lighthouse. Daniel's breath caught. What did she say? She told me everything, Daniel. Not just about the bribes and the falsified reports, about the families who got sick from the contaminated materials, about the local officials who went to prison when the bribes were discovered, while you and your father walked away clean. Daniel felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. Sophia, is it true, she demanded? Did people get sick because of what you and Tundi did? Daniel couldn't meet her eyes. Yes, he whispered. 3 families, children. We paid for their medical care, quietly. But yes, it happened. Sophia's expression hardened. And the officials who were jailed? 2 local inspectors. We took our bribes, but when everything fell apart, they didn't have the protection we did. So you ruined lives, Sophia said, her voice tight with emotion. Not just Tundi's. Innocent people suffered because of your actions, and you never faced any consequences. I live with it every day, Daniel said. The guilt, the shame. But not the consequences, Sophia pointed out. You got to keep your reputation, your wealth, your freedom. Daniel had no defense against the truth of her words. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, Sophia admitted. But I do know I can't be with someone who would do those things and then hide them from me. Who would let others take the fall while he walked away clean? I'm not that person anymore, Daniel insisted. I've changed. Have you? Sophia challenged. You're still keeping secrets, still trying to control what I know, what I do. That's not fair, Daniel protested. I told you about Project Lighthouse. I'm being honest now. Only because Helena forced your hand, Sophia said. What else aren't you telling me, Daniel? What other secrets are waiting to explode in our faces? Daniel hesitated, then made a decision. Tundi gave me an ultimatum, 48 hours for my father to agree to sell to Zenith, or everything goes public. We have until tomorrow night. Sophia nodded slowly, as if this confirmed something for her. And you weren't going to tell me that either. I was trying to figure out a solution first. That's always your excuse, isn't it? You'll tell me the truth later, when it's convenient for you. Sophia moved toward the door. I need time to think, Daniel. About us. About Zenith's offer. About all of it. Sophia, please, Daniel said, reaching for her hand. I love you. She pulled away. If you love me, respect me enough to let me make my own decisions. With all the information, not just what you think I should know. After she left, Daniel stood alone in his apartment, the weight of his past mistakes and present choices crushing down on him. He picked up his phone and deleted the draft to his father. There had to be another way. The next morning, Daniel arrived at Okoro Holdings to find his father already in crisis mode. Zenith had increased their share purchases overnight, bringing them dangerously close to the 30% threshold needed to force a board vote. We're running out of options, Gabriel said grimly. The banks won't extend more credit for us to buy back shares. The board is getting nervous. Have you considered talking to Tundi directly? Daniel suggested. Maybe there's a compromise. We don't compromise with blackmailers, Gabriel cut him off. I've already put our security team on it. They're gathering leverage of their own on Mr. Oladipo. Daniel's unease grew. What kind of leverage? The kind that ensures his silence, Gabriel said coldly. Permanently. Father, whatever you're planning is necessary to protect this family and this company, Gabriel finished for him. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made, Daniel. That's the burden of leadership. The implication was clear, and it chilled Daniel to the bone. How far was his father willing to go? Meanwhile, Sophia arrived at the factory to find Helena Okafor waiting for her in the parking lot, leaning against a sleek black car. Ms. Benson, Helena greeted her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Have you considered my offer? I have, Sophia said cautiously. I'm still thinking. Time is running out, Helena said, for my offer and for Okoro Holdings. What do you mean? Helena's smile widened. By this time tomorrow, Gabriel Okoro will be forced to sell his company to Zenith. Unless ... Unless what? Unless you help us, Helena said smoothly. Daniel trusts you. He would listen to you. Convince him to accept the inevitable. To persuade his father to sell willingly. It would be better for everyone. Sophia stared at her in disbelief. You want me to manipulate Daniel? To betray his trust? I want you to save him from himself, Helena countered. When Tundi's revelations go public, Daniel will face criminal charges. His father, too. But if they sell willingly, we can ensure those revelations stay buried. Why would you do that? Because I want Okoro Holdings, not a scandal, Helena said simply. The company is valuable. Its reputation is valuable. A public scandal helps no one. Sophia shook her head. I won't be your pawn, Miss Okafor. Think about it, Helena urged. You could save Daniel from prison, save hundreds of jobs at this factory, and secure yourself a very comfortable future at Zenith. As Helena drove away, Sophia stood in the parking lot, torn between her principles and her feelings for Daniel. Could she really stand by and watch his world collapse, knowing she might have prevented it? Across town, Daniel had made a decision of his own. He couldn't let his father's security team take action against Tundi, whatever that might entail. And he couldn't let Tundi destroy his family and Okoro Holdings. There was only one option left. He found Tundi at the same bar as before, nursing a beer and looking smugly confident. Come to beg for more time, Danny boy? Tundi asked as Daniel slid into the booth. No, Daniel said firmly. I've come to offer you a deal. Me for the company. Tundi's eyebrows rose. Explain. I'll publicly take full responsibility for Project Lighthouse. All of it. The bribes, the falsified reports, everything. I'll face whatever legal consequences come, but you leave Okoro Holdings and my father out of it. Tundi studied him for a long moment. Why would you do that? Because it's the truth, Daniel said simply. I was in charge of the project. I approved the bribes. I signed off on the falsified reports. My father covered it up to protect me, but the responsibility was mine. And you're willing to go to prison for it? If that's what it takes to make this right, yes. Tundi leaned back, genuine surprise on his face. The Daniel Okoro I knew would never have made that offer. I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago, Daniel said. I've changed. Because of her? The factory worker? Daniel nodded. Partly. Sophia helped me see things differently. But this is my decision, my responsibility. Tundi was quiet for a long moment, considering. What about Helena? She wants Okoro Holdings. That's between her and my father, Daniel said. My offer is between you and me. Your revenge for my confession. You really love her, don't you? Tundi asked, a hint of the old friend showing through his hardened exterior. Yes, Daniel admitted, but that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because it's right, because it's time I face the consequences of my actions. Tundi drained his beer and stood. I need to think about this. You'll have my answer by tonight. As Tundi left, Daniel's phone buzzed with a text from his father. Where are you? Security team ready to move on Oladipo. Need your approval? Daniel's blood ran cold. He quickly typed back, Don't do anything. I'm handling it. Give me until tonight. The response came immediately. Too risky. Team moving now. Daniel jumped to his feet, dialing his father's number as he rushed out of the bar. No answer. He tried Mr. Adamola next. Daniel, the lawyer answered. Where are you? Adamola, you have to stop the security team, Daniel said urgently. Whatever they're planning for Tundi, call it off. It's too late, Adamola said, his voice grave. They're already in position. What exactly are they planning to do? Daniel demanded, fear gripping him. Adamola's hesitation spoke volumes. Your father felt it necessary to take decisive action. They're going to hurt him, aren't they? Daniel realized with horror. Or worse. Daniel, in business sometimes. This isn't business, Daniel shouted. This is a crime. You're talking about assaulting or killing a man. Keep your voice down, Adamola hissed. This is not a conversation for public places. Call them off, Adamola, Daniel insisted. Or I swear I'll go to the police myself. After a tense silence, Adamola sighed. I'll see what I can do, but your father won't be pleased. Daniel ended the call and immediately dialed Tundi's number. No answer. Fear clawing at his throat, he texted, Danger! Security team coming for you. Get somewhere safe. Now. No response. Daniel hailed a taxi, giving the driver Tundi's address. It was a long shot. Tundi probably wouldn't go straight home. But it was the only lead he had. As the taxi fought through Lagos traffic, Daniel tried Sophia's number. She answered on the third ring. Daniel? What's wrong? Everything, he said, his voice tight with fear. My father sent a security team after Tundi. I think they're going to hurt him. I can't reach him to warn him. Oh my God, Sophia gasped. Where are you? In a taxi heading to his apartment, but I don't think he'll be there. What can I do? The question caught Daniel off guard. After everything he'd done, everything he'd hidden from her, she was still offering to help. I don't know, he admitted. I needed to hear your voice, to tell someone what's happening. Daniel, listen to me, Sophia said firmly. You need to go to the police. And tell them what? That my father might be planning to assault someone? I have no proof. Then find Tundi first, Sophia said. Warn him. Get him somewhere safe. Then figure out the next step. Okay, Daniel agreed. I'll try. And Daniel? Be careful. The concern in her voice gave him hope that perhaps not everything was lost between them. When Daniel arrived at Tundi's apartment building, he was surprised to see Helena Okafor's sleek black car parked outside. He approached cautiously, peering through the windows. Empty. The building's security guard recognized him. He and Tundi had been frequent visitors to each other's homes in the past. Mr. Okoro, the guard greeted him. Looking for Mr. Oladipo? Yes, Daniel said. Is he home? He came back about 20 minutes ago, the guard confirmed, with a lady. Very beautiful, very well dressed. Helena, what was she doing here? Thank you, Daniel said, hurrying inside. He took the elevator to Tundi's floor, a sense of dread growing with each passing second. When he reached Tundi's door, he was about to knock when he heard raised voices from inside. This wasn't the deal. Tundi's voice, angry and afraid. Plans change, Helena's cool reply. You've served your purpose, Tundi. Now it's time to tie up loose ends. Daniel didn't hesitate. He tried the door, locked, then stepped back and kicked it hard near the handle. The door burst open to reveal a startled Helena and Tundi in the living room. Helena was holding something in her hand, a small recorder. Daniel, she said, recovering quickly. How dramatic, breaking down doors now. What's going on here? Daniel demanded, looking between them. Ask your friend, Helena said with a cold smile. He was just about to sign a very interesting confession, one that implicates you and your father in all sorts of criminal activities. Daniel turned to Tundi, who looked pale and shaken. Tundi? She recorded everything, Daniel, Tundi said, his voice hollow. At the bar, you're offered to take the blame. She was wearing a wire. Daniel's blood ran cold. You were working together. Of course we were, Helena said smoothly. Tundi provided the information, I provided the resources, and now I have what I need to destroy Okoro Holdings completely. Why? Daniel asked. You said you wanted to buy the company, not destroy it. I want Gabriel Okoro to suffer, Helena said, her voice hardening. The way my father suffered when your father forced him out of their partnership 20 years ago. The way my family suffered when we lost everything. Suddenly the pieces clicked into place. Okafor? Your father was James Okafor, my father's original business partner. Helena's smile was razor sharp. Very good, Daniel. Yes, James Okafor, the man who helped build what became Okoro Holdings from nothing, only to be pushed out when the company started to succeed. That was before I was born, Daniel protested. I had nothing to do with it. But you benefited from it, Helena countered. You grew up in luxury, while I grew up watching my father drink himself to death, bitter and broken. Now it's time for Gabriel Okoro to know how that feels. She held up the recorder. With this, in Tundi's signed confession, both you and your father will face criminal charges. Okoro Holdings will collapse, and I'll buy the remains for pennies on the Naira. You used me, Tundi realized, looking sick. This was never about giving me justice. You were a means to an end, Helena confirmed coldly. A convenient tool with a convenient grudge. Before anyone could react, the sound of breaking glass came from the bedroom. 3 men in black burst into the living room. Daniel recognized them immediately, his father's security team. Mr. Okoro, the leader acknowledged Daniel with a nod. Your father sent us to retrieve you. And to deal with Mr. Oladipo, another added, moving toward Tundi. No! Daniel stepped between them. No one is dealing with anyone. This ends now. I'm afraid I can't allow that, the leader said, reaching for Daniel. Your father's orders were very clear. Stop, a new voice commanded from the doorway. Everyone turned to see Sophia standing there, her phone held up. I'm live streaming this to social media right now. Everything you say and do is being broadcast. The security team froze, looking uncertain. She's bluffing, Helena said, though doubt crept into her voice. Am I? Sophia challenged, turning her phone to show the screen. 3,000 viewers and counting. People love a good corporate scandal. Daniel stared at her in amazement. Sophia ... I followed you, she explained quickly. After your call, I was worried. Good thing I did. The security team leader spoke quietly into his earpiece, then nodded to his men. We're leaving. Now. As they filed out, Helena's composure finally cracked. This changes nothing, she hissed. I still have the recording. I still have enough evidence to destroy Okoro Holdings. Actually, Sophia said, stepping further into the room, you don't. She nodded to someone behind her, and 2 police officers entered the apartment. Helena Okafor, one officer said formally, you're under investigation for corporate espionage, blackmail, and conspiracy to commit assault. We'll need you to come with us for questioning. Helena's eyes widened in shock. This is absurd. You have no evidence. We have the live stream, Sophia pointed out, and I'm sure Mr. Oladipo and Mr. Okoro will be happy to provide statements. As the officers led a protesting Helena away, Daniel turned to Sophia in disbelief. How did you? I called the police after you called me, she explained. Told them there was a potential assault about to happen. When I got here and heard what was going on through the door, I texted them to come up. The live stream was a bluff. A brilliant bluff, Tundi said, sinking onto his couch, looking shell-shocked. Daniel approached Sophia cautiously. Thank you. You saved us all. Even though you had every reason to let us face the consequences. I couldn't let Helena destroy Okoro Holdings, Sophia said. Hundreds of people would lose their jobs, including me. Is that the only reason? Daniel asked, hope creeping into his voice. Sophia met his eyes. Despite everything, I still care about you, Daniel. Enough to stop you from making another terrible mistake. It wasn't a declaration of love, but it was something. a foundation they might be able to build on. What happens now? Tundi asked, looking between them. Daniel took a deep breath. Now we do what I should have done 3 years ago. We tell the truth, all of it. 1 month later, Daniel stood at the podium in Okoro Holdings' main conference room, facing a room full of reporters, employees, and board members. His father sat in the front row, looking older than his years but resolute. "Thank you all for coming," Daniel began. "As you know, the past month has been challenging for Okoro Holdings. The revelations about Project Lighthouse, about the mistakes I made 3 years ago, have shaken this company to its core." He paused, looking out at the sea of faces. Sophia stood at the back of the room, her expression supportive but guarded. "I take full responsibility for those mistakes," Daniel continued. "The bribes, the falsified reports, all of it. I've provided a complete statement to the authorities and will accept whatever legal consequences follow." Murmurs ran through the crowd. But today isn't about the past. It's about the future, about how Okoro Holdings moves forward with transparency and integrity. Daniel outlined the changes being implemented: a new ethics committee with real power, compensation for the families affected by Project Lighthouse, a partnership with environmental groups to remediate the contaminated land. And finally, Daniel said, "I'm announcing my resignation as Chief Operations Officer, effective immediately." Gasps and whispers filled the room. Gabriel Okoro's face remained impassive, though Daniel knew his father had fought against this decision. "In my place, the board has approved the appointment of Sophia Benson as our new Director of Innovation and Operational Excellence." All eyes turned to Sophia, who looked as surprised as everyone else. This part of the announcement had been kept secret, even from her. Ms. Benson brings not only technical expertise, but a commitment to integrity that this company sorely needs, Daniel continued. She will report directly to the board with full authority to implement changes across all operations. After the press conference, Daniel found Sophia waiting for him in his, now her, office. "You didn't tell me," she said, her tone somewhere between accusation and amazement. "I wanted it to be a surprise," Daniel admitted, "and I was afraid you'd say no if I asked first." "I might have," Sophia acknowledged. "This is a lot." "Too much?" Sophia considered the question. Not too much, just unexpected." "Like us?" Daniel ventured. A small smile touched her lips. "Yes, like us." Daniel moved closer to her. "Is there still an us, Sophia? After everything?" "I don't know," she said honestly. "You've made a good start with the truth and the changes at the company. Trust takes time to rebuild." "I have time," Daniel said, "and patience, and hope." "What about the legal consequences you mentioned?" Sophia asked. "Are you really facing charges?" Daniel nodded. "Probably. Mr. Adamola thinks I'll likely get a suspended sentence in community service, given that I came forward voluntarily and no one was permanently harmed. But there will be consequences." "And you're okay with that?" "I'm ready for it," Daniel said firmly. "It's time I face the results of my actions." Sophia studied him for a long moment. "You really have changed." "Because of you," Daniel said. "You made me want to be better, to be worthy of you." "You don't have to be worthy of me, Daniel," Sophia said gently. "You just have to be honest, with me and with yourself." "I'm trying," he promised. "Every day." A knock at the door interrupted them. Gabriel Okoro entered, his expression unreadable. "Ms. Benson," he acknowledged Sophia with a nod. "May I have a moment with my son?" "Of course," Sophia said, moving toward the door. "I should start getting acquainted with my new responsibilities anyway." After she left, Gabriel turned to Daniel. "That was quite a performance." "It wasn't a performance, Father," Daniel said tiredly. "It was the truth." "The truth," Gabriel repeated, as if testing the word. "A luxury we haven't often afforded ourselves. Maybe that's been our problem all along." Gabriel was quiet for a moment, looking around the office that had been his son's and would now belong to a former factory worker. "You love her that much? Enough to give up everything?" "I'm not giving up everything," Daniel corrected him. "I'm gaining something more valuable. Integrity, self-respect, a chance at real happiness." To Daniel's surprise, his father smiled. A small, sad smile, but genuine. "Your mother would be proud of you today. She always valued truth above success." It was the highest compliment Gabriel could give, and Daniel felt its weight. "Thank you, Father." "So what will you do now?" Gabriel asked. "Without your position here?" "I'm starting a foundation," Daniel said, "to support ethical business practices and environmental restoration, using my own money, not the company's." Gabriel nodded slowly. "A worthy endeavor. And Miss Benson, will she be part of this new life of yours?" "That's up to her," Daniel said. "I hope so, but I have to earn her trust back first." "Well," Gabriel said, extending his hand to his son, "for what it's worth, I think she'd be a fool to let you go. Okaros aren't perfect, but we learn from our mistakes. Eventually." Daniel shook his father's hand, feeling a new understanding between them. 6 months later, Daniel stood in the newly completed community center in the northern region where Project Lighthouse had failed. The building gleamed in the sunlight, surrounded by local children playing on new equipment. Inside, classes were being held on everything from computer skills to sustainable farming practices. "It's beautiful," Sophia said, coming to stand beside him. "You've done something good here." "We've done something good," Daniel corrected her. "Your input on the design, the programs, this wouldn't exist without you." Over the past months, they had rebuilt their relationship slowly, carefully. Sophia had excelled in her new role at Okoro Holdings, implementing changes that had improved both working conditions and productivity. Daniel had faced the legal consequences of his actions, community service, and a hefty fine, but no jail time, thanks to his voluntary confession and restitution efforts. And through it all, they had talked, really talked, about their fears, their hopes, their dreams. No more secrets, no more half-truths. "I received an interesting offer today," Sophia said, watching the children play. "From Zenith Manufacturing." Daniel tensed slightly. "Helena's replacement?" After Helena's arrest for corporate espionage and attempted blackmail, Zenith had undergone its own leadership changes. "Yes," Sophia confirmed. "They want to partner with Okoro Holdings on a new venture, sustainable manufacturing practices across West Africa." "What did you tell them?" "That I'd discuss it with the board," Sophia said, "and with you." Daniel looked at her in surprise. "With me? I'm not part of the company anymore." "No," Sophia agreed, "but you are part of my life, an important part, and I value your perspective." The simple statement meant more to Daniel than any declaration of love could have. It meant trust. It meant respect. It meant a future together. "I think," he said carefully, "that sometimes former enemies can become the strongest allies if the foundation is solid." Sophia smiled, understanding his meaning. "Like us?" "Like us," Daniel agreed, taking her hand. "Built on truth this time. No more guard uniforms, no more secrets." "No more secrets," Sophia echoed, squeezing his hand. "Just us." Daniel and Sophia, figuring it out together. As they stood there, watching the sun set over the community they had helped rebuild, Daniel felt a peace he had never known before. His past mistakes would always be part of him, but they no longer defined him. What defined him now was how he had chosen to make amends, to be honest, to be better. And standing beside him was the woman who had seen through his disguise to the man he could be, the man he was becoming, day by day, choice by choice. "I love you," he said simply. Sophia turned to him, her eyes reflecting the golden sunset. "I love you too, the real you." It was enough. It was everything. 3 months later, Daniel and Sophia stood together at the grand opening of the joint venture between Okoro Holdings and Zenith Manufacturing. The partnership had been announced to great acclaim in the business community, with both companies' stock prices soaring. As cameras flashed and reporters called out questions, Daniel noticed a familiar face at the back of the crowd. Tunde Oladipo, watching the proceedings with an unreadable expression. Their eyes met across the room. Tunde gave a small nod, then turned and disappeared into the crowd. Later that evening, as Daniel and Sophia returned to their shared apartment, a package waited by their door. No return address, no note. Inside was a flash drive and a single photograph. Daniel and Tunde as university students, arms around each other's shoulders, grinning at the camera. Daniel plugged the flash drive into his laptop. It contained a single video file. When he played it, Tundi's face appeared on the screen. "Hello, Danny boy," he said, his expression serious. "If you're watching this, I've already left Lagos. There are things you don't know about Project Lighthouse, things I protected you from, but someone else knows, someone who has been watching us all from the beginning. They contacted me yesterday." Tundi looked over his shoulder, as if afraid of being overheard. "Be careful, Daniel. This isn't over. The past never stays buried for long." The video ended abruptly. Daniel and Sophia stared at the frozen screen, the celebration of their success suddenly overshadowed by this new threat from the past. "What does he mean?" Sophia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Who else knows about Project Lighthouse?" Daniel shook his head slowly. "I don't know, but whoever it is will face them together. No more secrets, no more running." As they embraced, neither noticed the blinking light of their apartment's security camera, nor the figure watching them through a laptop screen miles away, a satisfied smile spreading across their face. Who is the mysterious figure watching Daniel and Sophia? What secrets about Project Lighthouse remain buried? And will their newly built trust survive this final test? Find out in the thrilling conclusion of The Rich Man in a Guard Uniform. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to see how this story concludes. Drop your predictions in the comments below. Who do you think is behind this new threat? What secrets might Tundi have been hiding? Your theories might just predict what happens next.